two trainers have locked in, and let's see what happens here. It's a Magnezone into a Cresselia. This is a great matchup for Colin.
Oh, this is looking really good for Colin indeed, and he has gone really strong against the Shadow Bastiodon this time with his team. However, Tomahawk hasn't even brought it to the table.
Yep, that is a big heads-up play from Tomahawk. But again, he did not bring it to the table, but this Cresselia does not like to be matched up against his Magnezone. So much damage, but these wild charges will do even more damage to that Cresselia.
Yep, first wild charge being thrown. Is this a bait? Is this not a bait? TomahawkUK decides to shield it. The good thing is Colin has very neutral play in the back if he keeps this. But oh, this is a catch on the charger bug. This is going to be resisted. However, it is going to deal a lot of damage as well.
This is the problem with catching against Pokemon like Magnezone, is that it still did have the HP of the charger bug, but in comes this Cresselia. Cresselia does have access to this Moonblast. Moonblast is enough at this range to knock out that charger bug, or at least put it in the red. In comes his X-Scissor.
X-Scissor is going to deal super effective damage. However, Colin predicts the Bastiodon in the back, but there is an Altaria. Colin preserves the Shadow Whiscash for the Bastiodon that isn't there. Altaria is going to be able to Dragon Breath it later on in the game. Does Colin know it yet? Does he suspect it at all?
Oh man, this is kind of what he learned from the last game as well, that Bastiodon is always at the back, but unfortunately this time around it is not at the back. So going into the Cresselia, this means that there should be something that Colin has to do to kind of get this Cresselia back safe into his Pokeball.
Colin still has a shield up. He has the Shadow Magnezone in the back. That is energy dry. However, it is going to still deal a decent amount of damage against the Altaria. Are we going to see a Moonblast debuff here?
Yes, whatever happens here, it's going to be down to that Magnezone. Magnezone is a win con. Let's see how Colin decides to play it out. Going for a lot of farm, a lot of energy onto the Cresselia, and Tomahawk firing off this Grass Knot. Grass Knot will be enough to knock out the Cresselia, but then again, going for a shield here.
Colin calls it, and this is such a genius play because he knows if there is Bastiodon in the back, you still win with only your Shadow Whiscash. If it is something else, you still need that Cresselia with a Moonblast against an Altaria. Now the Grass Knot is being channeled by Tomahawk, and Colin shields it as well. He wants more energy on the Magnezone. This is such a good safety play, but there's another Grass Knot reached!
No, Grass Knot comes in. That is so unfortunate. All he had to do was farm that Cresselia down, but Cresselia, being that bulky Pokemon, knocks the Magnezone out, and it's all up to the Whiscash and Cresselia at the back. But look what we see here. It's an Altaria. The Altaria, the ever-present bird in the sky, is going to give a very tough job for this Cresselia.
This must be a debuff here, otherwise the Dragon Breath will knock out the Cresselia. Cresselia is going to channel the Moonblast, and it is not a debuff. The Cresselia is being knocked out. The Shadow Whiscash is alone against the rest of the world. Tomahawk is smiling it away, knowing, haha, I outsmarted my opponent.
Tomahawk knew that it was going to be the Whiscash. You could also see him, even before the Whiscash came, he talks to the mic to Colin saying, is it the Whiscash? And Colin says, yes. This is unfortunate for the Whiscash. Whiscash has no play here. Yes, if you had the move Blizzard, there was some way to fight back against the Altaria, but there is no way this Mud Boy can do anything against that flying monster of the sky.
Wow, and now Colin has to play two mind games at once. He has to protect himself from this Shadow Bastiodon in the back, the Pokemon that has served Tomahawk so well so far. And maybe he doesn't even bring it. You have to adjust your playstyle to it. But if it isn't there, then those small adjustments that they might hurt you really later on in the neutral place.
Yeah, it all comes down to this, right? He bought 3 Pokemon that can play neutral or good against the Bastiodon. Unfortunately, what Tomahawk did was, I'm not going to bring my Bastiodon because it did so much work for me in the 4 games that we played that I am sure that you want to counter it. These are all strategies from tried and tested battlers from throughout the season. Look at his credentials. 2024 Liverpool Regional Finalist, Warsaw Regional Finalist, Barcelona Special Event Top 4, and Stuttgart Regional Top 4. What an amazing 2024 he's been having.
Yep, absolutely massive. Tomahawk last year, he just qualified for Worlds, and then he just did it again via points, but he would have also qualified under the old rules. And there, of course, Colin, Stuttgart Regional Champion, Lille Regional Champion, Dortmund Regional Finalist, and Lille Regional Top 8. What a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, great 2 trainers here, but I think one thing that you have to train, Leo, is actually calling Lille.
No, it is going to be Lil Colin for me. That's his rapper name now. No, of course it is Leo. But both of these trainers, I'm gonna just say it. The team that Colin brings looks kind of weak to Altaria.
Oh, this is a neutral lead. Of course, I want to see how much Smackdowns does on this Magnezone, but immediately swapping into the Annihilate, and in comes this Cresselia. This is looking great for Colin. It's a great lead into a great swap, but Annihilate with energy, you know how much damage it can do. He has to call this. Will this be a Shadow Ball or a Night Slash? And he goes for the no protection. Brilliant gameplay by Colin.
We can see great calls from both trainers on this game. Throwing a Moonblast just before the Shadow Ball is reached on Tomahawk side, because yes, the Night Slash was a bait. However, it is still important in this matchup because you need this and a Shadow Ball to knock out.
Yeah, this is very interesting on how Tomahawk wants to play this out. Ideally, he would want this Cresselia to go shields down in this matchup so that the Bastion can get a super effective attack onto the Magnezone, and that's exactly what he's going for. Gets the first shield, but this means that the Cresselia is in the driver's seat, especially because Colin called that Night Slash bait.
And now this is a Grass Knot bait. It gets shielded. Even if it didn't get shielded, he could have gotten a nice little Psycho cut down. Farms up to the Moonblast. Charge attack priority event goes for the Shadow Ball again. Is this a range where you can farm down the Annihilate? I kind of doubt it.
Oh man, Annihilate takes out that Cresselia, but this is looking really, really risky here. In comes a Wishcash. Wishcash, of course, has great matchup against the Bastion and also does not have a bad matchup against the Quagsire. This is a great heads-up play by Colin, but not shielding this Night Slash is going to put the Wishcash so low.
Yep, that is true. However, I think that Tomahawk really needs to align the Shadow Quagsire on to the Shadow Magnezone. Otherwise, it is going to run Rampage. Now, the Shadow Whiscash has a lot of energy. And even with this low HP, it is really, really strong against the Shadow Bastion.
Yeah,
so
it not only has HP, it also has a protection to hide behind. So this is great position to be in if you're a Colin. Let's see what happens here. In comes the Quagsire. Quagsire is immediately going to be met with this called on charge attack priority, won by the Quagsire. This has to be a shield from Colin.
Well, and I wonder why this was a shield, why he threw on charge attack priority. He's now going to go throw that Scald. The question is, will he reach the next Mud Bomb before Tomahawk is going to reach the next Aqua Tail?
I think he does. He is 3 away from the next Mud Bomb, which potentially will be caught on the Bastion. 4.
Oh, he's actually 4, and it's going to be charge attack priority. A catch here, and is this going to cost Colin the game, or is it going to win him the game? This is going to deal a really sizable amount of damage. It's Shadow on Shadow. Boom!
What a great amount of damage, but this Magnezone will get to this mud shot, but going for this...
Oh, wow, and this is going to secure the game for Tomahawk. No.
It's going to be really close here. It will potentially secure the game for Tomahawk just because, yes, the Wishcash does have some energy on it, but Quagsire has that energy loaded. He will have to go for 2 Mud Bombs and hope to get that charge attack priority here, farming all the way down and going for that Scald. Scald, will this be enough to take out this bulky Bastion?
Scald is definitely super effective, deals a lot of damage on the Bastion, knocks it out, and even in the charge attack priority case, the Shadow Quagsire comes out on top.
What a game. Amazing energy managed by Tomahawk. He had a bad lead into a bad swap, and he managed to come out on top. Colin went for the strategy that, yes, I have a Magnezone that can deal with the Bastion. I have a Wishcash that can also deal with the Bastion. I do not need Switch, but that was so crucial.
TomahawkUK securing the game even before the second to last Pokemon is knocked out, knowing, hey, there's only this Shadow Whiscash deep in the red. If I have an Aqua Tail, I'm going to win this game. Catches a Wild Charge on his Bastiodon, and then he knows, hey, whatever my opponent is going to do, I just have to tap on the Aqua Tail and win that game. Match point.
Yes. Sorry. What I would have personally preferred, or something that I would have liked Colin to do, was shield the Cresselia and immediately swap into the Wishcash, because he is strong against Bastiodon in the lead and at the back. So that swap would have potentially got that Quagsire out of the way, and then Magnezone would have had a great time. Plus, he would have had that Cresselia to get rid of for Colin later into the game. That could have been a way that Colin could have played it differently. Unfortunately, Tomahawk gave no chance.
Yeah, that is also a very, very good point. I think also that Colin could have gone for double Mud Bomb, even though I don't think it would have quite knocked out. Scald is definitely the more energy and damage effective attack.
Yeah, double Mud Bomb would not have knocked out. What would have happened would be a worst case scenario is where, yes, you have your Magnezone there, but it was so low in HP, and Quagsire could have potentially farmed it down, or even worse, Smackdown down by the Bastiodon.
Yeah, oh, that would have been actually painful to watch. Bastiodon, this time, even when it is positioned against a Shadow Whiscash and Shadow Magnezone, is doing well.
this is a very important moment in the game. Tomahawk 1 win away from getting his first champion medal here. Colin needs to think of all of these games as a best of 1. He needs to win every single one of his following games to reset the bracket and go into a grand final reset. Both these players have one chance, one opportunity to take it all.
Absolutely. Tomahawk, he has the match point. It is not even 3 p.m. here, and we already might crown a winner of the Pokemon Go special event here in Bologna.
Yeah, special event indeed, and what a special event we have had here. Both these players locked in, and we see a Cresselia into an Altaria. This, as we know and as we have been educating through the whole stream, is an attack weight dependent matchup on the Altaria, and also in certain cases the bulk point for the defense of this Cresselia as well.
But I'm gonna say that Colin has quite the neutral play here, and in the back, it is looking rather good. The Shadow Whiscash can deal with the Shadow Quagsire and definitely can deal with the Charger Bug. The Altaria is also looking quite good in those matchups.
Yeah, and it's a huge heads-up play by Colin there, thinking that, all right, maybe he doesn't bring the Bastiodon again and going for a very risky player. Cresselia, however, takes that Moonblast and will get to another Moonblast, tries to catch on the Charger Bug, but unfortunately, Colin takes even more energy and goes into the Altaria. We've seen Tomahawk play this match out differently multiple times here, but Crunch has the ability to debuff Altaria's defense, and if it does, then this match will be completely different.
Yep, Crunch is really, really good in this matchup, especially because you charge so fast to it as well. Gets the debuff. The second Crunch would knock out. We're going to see a Sky Attack being thrown by the Altaria. Is Colin willing to invest a shield into the Altaria, or is he giving away the Altaria?
No, maybe we have to find out here. Crunch comes in. Will Colin pull up a shield? Because yes, if he does pull up a shield, we know that there's a great matchups for Altaria at the back, but Colin doesn't. Wow. This does not KO. That is so close. Will this be enough? Dragon breathing down that Charger Bug. Altaria doing Altaria things.
This Altaria is an absolute monster. Altaria from Tomahawk. I'm saying Altaria a whole lot here is coming in. Dragon breathing down the mirror match. He's already almost tapping at the Shadow Quagsire. Wants to be there. Doesn't get the catch. The Moonblast is being thrown by the Cresselia. Do you really want to bring a Quagsire in here now?
Well, I was just going to say, does Tomahawk call the Whiscash at the back? He does not. That Moonblast, if it was shielded, would have given the Whiscash no opportunity to get back into this game. But here we go. This is going to be extremely close. Sky Attack comes in. Protect Shield being pulled up for the Whiscash. It is the last Pokemon, the last stand Colin has against Tomahawk.
Colin does not want to take any further damage. It's going to throw the Shadow Skull. It is going to be resisted. However, this is still powerful enough to take down the Flying Dragon. And now the last matchup, Shadow Quagsire comes in here, starts mud-shotting, reaches to that Aqua Tail. We're going to throw a Charge Attack priority here against the Skull, but Colin isn't falling for it.
Yeah, Colin is not falling for it, not shielding the first Aqua Tail. This is rather special for me, because if you get the Skull debuff, then that's exactly where you want to shield it. Going for the Mud Bomb. Will Tomahawk shield? No shielding the first move here. I think Colin's strategy is going 3 Mud Bombs. That is the win con here. 1, 2, 3 Mud Bombs.
Yep, that looks like a good win con for him. Throws the next one, has to be shielded here, but the Cresselia is also at quite a lot of energy at this point. So if this is going to be thrown, swaps in the Cresselia, tries to reach for the Grass Knot. Is this a window for Tomahawk?
Yes, this looks like a great window for Tomahawk. Is the Whiscash 4 mud shots away from that Mud Bomb? Will it get there? Let's go there. 1, 2, 3, and 4! That is Charge Attack priority for the Whiscash, and this should be enough to knock that Quagsire, giving Colin 1 point and a way back into this Grand Finals.
Oh, really, really strong. We have been missing the Shadow Bastiodon here. Is Tomahawk shaking right now? Because this might be yet another reverse sweep right here. Colin is looking strong in this one. The neutral the play, the better the Colin.
That was very well played by Colin. It's a great example of energy management. Getting that extra mud shot on the Whiscash, understanding that, all right, it's a Quagsire at the back. I need a few extra mud shots to make sure I win this. And then knowing exactly what he needs to get to that Mud Bomb. It was beautifully played. It was almost as a symphony. Because Cresselia was 1 away from the Grass Knot as well.
Yeah, bellissimo. Forced his opponent to throw. This was just peak gameplay by the good old Colin. So we're going to look at the teams one more time. Annihilate, Shadow Bastiodon, Cresselia, Charger Bug, Shadow Quagsire, and Altaria. I did not expect Bastiodon to be the standout Shadow Pokemon this tournament, but actually it kind of also is the Shadow Quagsire, right? It has been everywhere.
Yeah. But on Colin's side, we see a new Pokemon that we don't see as much in the recent meta, and that is that Mantine. Mantine is an absolute wall for the Whiscash, almost as much as Altaria is. But then again, Mantine is very risky Pokemon to bring into Tomahawk's side because he has that Quagsire, which can have Stone Edge, which does super effective damage, almost a 70% damage onto that Mantine. And then again, there is also Charjabug, Bastiodon. It is not a great Pokemon to bring.
Yep, in this matchup, for sure, it isn't. It is a really, really good answer to the Annihilate. To be honest, in the Quagsire matchup, if you're investing shields, you have quite the... If your opponent goes straight Stone Edge, you have quite the decent matchup because your wing attacks definitely do add up and the Mudshots just deal 1 damage. But other than that, I also don't see too much play for it.
I think I was just explaining this to you a bit earlier about the Vigoroth going up against the Altaria. If you land that big move, then you are suddenly in control. So it all depends on whether you can land that big move first. If you do, or get a bait,
great,
you are in control.
Yep, that is true. Because then you can threaten with Aqua Tails to actually almost knock out the Mantine. Actually, in Shadow Quagsire, it could actually be a knockout.
Not a one-shot, no, not a one-hit KO. No.
All right, okay.
70%.
Yeah, 70% from the Stone Edge, but can you then threaten with the Aqua Tail?
Yes, you can.
Very good. So, we're going to see these trainers, both our focus. Colin is grasping on his last straw.
Last straw, but let's see what happens here. What a great lead again for Colin. Skeledirge into the Cresselia. Cresselia has immediately going into the Altaria. This is great news. This is exactly what Colin wants because he can get to this Disarming Voice, do that super effective damage, and then swap into his own Cresselia.
Yep, Cresselia doesn't have the best matchup against Altaria, but it is still a really, really good one. You can go out there. Yes, don't take too much Dragon Breath damage there. Take 1 or 2 charge attacks from that Altaria. Actually, it's probably only just going to be 1, and then you're throwing a Moonblast yourself. Yeah,
at this point, it doesn't matter. There is no need for investing a shield onto the Cresselia because Cresselia looks healthy, but no, there is the attack fall.
Ooh, and now the game stops playing. Are we going to see them just play on after this, or is this going to have to be a rematch? The backline looks so good for Colin. Both players are trying to go for their charge attacks again. There's a Skeledirge in the back against Cresselia and Annihilate. This would be huge.
Yeah, it would be. So Tomahawk kind of recognizing the importance of Switch in this matchup. He wants to preserve that Altaria, so he's staying in, investing a shield, and going for the Sky Attack to essentially knock out the Cresselia. Colin says, all right, you have done your job. What I would want to potentially do is come in with the Skeledirge and completely farm this Altaria down.
Yep, I like and I dislike this play because look at the Dragon Breath damage. Yes, oh, and we're actually going to reach for a Sky Attack here. This shield cost the Skeledirge so much damage as well.
Yep, this shield, no shielding did cost it, but then again, if shielded, the Cresselia was under the threat of being completely farmed down. Immediately going into the spam tapping that Whiscash so that he can try to get some more advantage here. 2-to-1 shields, Whiscash versus Cresselia is not that bad.
And Tomahawk isn't bringing out a Pokemon, it seems. Now we're swapping immediately into the Shadow Whiscash because at this range, the Skeledirge has a terrible matchup against Annihilate just because it has so much damage with the Night Slash as well. We're going to see a Shadow-boosted Scald here from the Whiscash.
Yeah, bringing in the Cresselia into such a loaded Whiscash. The advantage of this is one move from the Cresselia will knock the Whiscash out, but Whiscash knows he wins the charge attack priority and goes for this Scald. Scald, if this debuffs again, puts the Whiscash in a very good position.
To be honest, if this knocks out, then you can farm it fully down with the Skeledirge. This is a potential win condition for Colin. He has 2 shields available to his name. He could just go for a big farm down. Those Psycho Cuts aren't going to deal any kind of damage. You can shield up 1 attack, and then you can throw a Shadow Ball into the Annihilate.
But he needs to get that farm down. Slowly and steadily, the Psycho Cuts are adding up. Not to mention the counters that will be coming in from that Annihilate. Will this be enough? 1 more Incinerate. That's all he needs to be able to do some work against this Annihilate. Going for the Night Slash, immediately getting shielded by Colin. Colin had clicked on that Shadow Ball.
Yep, this is so incredibly close. The Shadow Ball is going to connect here into a shield or not. Is Tomahawk calling a disarming voice at this point? He is not. He's calling the Shadow Ball. How fast is Colin going to be into the Shadow Ball? He is going to actually reach it. Throws the Shadow Ball into the Annihilate. Is it going to be the 2-2?
Shadow Ball comes in, and this will be enough to knock this Annihilate back into the Pokeball. And there we go. 2-2. Colin coming back strong against TomahawkUK.
And we're going to see some discussion sparked about this matchup for sure, because at some point the game has seemed like it had some connectivity issues. So we're going to discuss this with the judges. For me personally, it looked like after a little stop, the game just continued as usual and looked great for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, but let's see what the judges say. Of course, they have the opportunity to slow this game down and look at it from multiple angles. Yeah. We do not. For us, it's very live, and we cannot make the right call sitting here.
Yeah, I was trying to scream at the screen that we're looking at, so that was maybe don't take my judgment as granted here. But yes, this was very, very well played out by Colin, going for the Scald in the charge attack priority against the Cresselia.
Yeah, it takes a lot to make sure you keep track of energy, especially when your Pokemon is so much ahead, right? And this is game number 4 of the Grand Finals. You need so much experience to make sure you can come here and do well and not make mistakes. Both these trainers, as far as I understand and know, did not make a single mistake so far.
Yep. The thing is, I might have spotted a little one. There's the possibility that it was a mistake from Tomahawk to throw at the charge attack priority event against the Shadow Whiscash, because after that you could farm up a little bit more energy and maybe get to 2 charge attacks against the Skeletorch. However, I don't even think that that was possible, because after throwing the first Grass Knot, it was extremely low. I think that was just one Incinerator wave.
It was, in a way, one of those times where the Scald debuff worked in the non-debuff favor, because if the second Scald had debuffed the Cresselia, the Grass Knot would barely have not been enough, maybe 2 or 3 Psycho Cuts on there, but again, it is a 50-50 call, and in the end, as I said, normal distribution curve, it evens out.
Yep, the Skeletorch was the absolute MVP in the first few games. We've seen a little bit more of Shadow Magnezone trying to really get in there, trying to get onto this Bastiodon or just force shields, get some pressure on with those Shadow boosted wild charges. This didn't happen in this game. Colin shifted his strategy, and Tomahawk, he kind of looked like he was a little bit too afraid to bring the Shadow Bastiodon.
Yep, I think it's in a way the reversal of what happened in the previous winners final. Because Tomahawk just went for the Bastiodon all the time, right? Yep. And now he wants to take a step back and then, all right, I'm 2-0 up, so I'm in a position where I can take risks. That's probably what was going on in his mind. And we saw 2 times in the winners final that Colin did not change his strategy, and that proved fruitful for Tomahawk. But this time around, Colin is like, is that the game you want to play? I can play too.
The thing is, if you are in the position that you're 2-0 up and you think, okay, I can take risks now, wow, this is risky. Because now he lost 2 games in a row. Does he want to go back to his true and tested strategy that he has used before? Colin might call it. You might actually lose this best of 5, and then you will have to recover from that. It is going to be a really, really tough one for Tomahawk.
Yeah, but one of the things that's kind of important in these games is, let's say, you saw Colin thinking, all right, you've put Bastiodon in the back in all the games we played in the winners final, right? And then the game he bought the Whiscash into the lead, it was met with the Altaria. So one of the biggest things when you play Pokemon, like, let's say, polarizing Pokemon like Bastiodon, is that it's all about the mind games. Can you get into your opponent's head, and can your opponent get into yours? Once that happens, then it's all about alignment. Will that Whiscash go on to the Bastiodon, or will that Annihilate go on to the Bastiodon? That's just it. It's all about alignment later.
Yeah, I wish Tomahawk was a little bit more in my head, because then I would for sure make some better decisions during my tournaments. But that is not going to happen anytime soon, I suppose. So, what do you think is going to happen for Game 5? Are we going to see a Shadow Bastiodon or not? What would Abi do?
Oof. If Abi was good enough, Abi would be there. But then again, what I would potentially try to do is understand the fact that game number 4, Tomahawk went for the strategy where he lured out the Cresselia to neutralize or have a lot of play for the Annihilate at the back. Colin understood that and came up with a completely different approach to it, letting that Cresselia go, keeping 2 shields on the Skeletor's, completely trusting it, right? It could have even a little bit more Psycho Cut damage, that Scald not debuffing could have completely changed the outcome of the game. Tomahawk would be sitting here and we would be crowning him the special event champion, but it worked out for Colin. This is what happens. You have to always continue playing for your your advantage. Every advantage you get counts. But if I was Colin, I would definitely be bringing similar teams again, because that Cresselia did a lot of work. Even against the Shadow Bastion, it's still going to do an impressive amount of work. But the game is the game. It's all about getting that Altaria away from the Wish Cache. That Wish Cache is so crucial for Colin. But so many times, it's been aligned to that Altaria.
Yeah, I mean, this is why the Bastiodon Altaria core is just such formidable. Why it's so good right here in this tournament. Many players have played it, many players have advanced far into the tournament just because every time someone actually gets their Whiscash onto your Shadow Bastiodon or regular Bastiodon, you just come in with Altaria and soak all of the damage.
Yeah, you are right, but then again, it all depends on how these players played out. Like even game number 4, if the Altaria shielded the Moonblast, it would be a completely different game. The Whiscash had no way back. But not shielding that Moonblast gave Whiscash a win con.
Yeah, and also you could see how important it is for Colin to keep that Whiscash healthy, because he could have charged up a little bit more energy, but no, he threw directly after 6 Mudshots a Scald to knock out the Altaria, because the Dragon Breath damage is just so important. By the way, we are going to see that this is not a rematch. We are going to see a 2-2 in the Winners Grand Finals. TomahawkUK versus Colin6ix.
Okay, you have to compose yourself now. For Colin, it's the best of 1. Tomahawk can still afford to lose this. I know I'm saying it like he wants to, but no, he doesn't. He has the option of going into the bracket reset and still pulling it off against Colin. But when you play Pokemon like Bastiodon, the more games you play, the more difficult it is to execute it, because your opponent slowly and steadily knows what you want to do, with that Bastiodon, and that's exactly where it comes down to.
Yep, Tomahawk might be really nervous. He has been in this position, in this exact position before when he played versus Nighttime Clasher, where he thought he would easily get a 3-0 sweep in the Winners Grand Finals, but he just didn't. He lost the game, he got reverse swept in the Grand Finals, and now he's sitting opposed to Colin6ix, who has won 2 regional champion titles already. This is going to be really, really tough. He's done it before. He has destroyed him in the Winners Finals. Can he do it again?
Do you think Tomahawk can go for this tried and tested strategy of throwing in the charger bag and hoping to see the Whiscash as a counter swap that he did in the Winners Final as well? And this way you have a Pokemon like a Bastiodon at the back to kind of close it out. Or what he did in the Winners Final was, in the last game, he had that Quagsire instead of that what we expected to be a Bastiodon, what even Colin expected to be a Bastiodon.
So what I would like to see here is a Shadow Bastiodon in the lead. We haven't really seen that so far, but then we have to check what Pokemon you want to have in the back to prohibit certain save swaps. Okay, so the game is about to start. Game 5 of the Winners Grand Finals here. It is Shadow Quagsire versus Cresselia. That is a very good lead for Colin.
That is a great lead for Colin here. Quagsire will be one-shot by this Grass Knot, but then again, slowly and steadily, Quagsire's Aqua Tails will add up. Let's see what Tomahawk does. Goes for that Stone Edge. This does decent amount of damage to the Cresselia, because Cresselia is such a bulky Pokemon, but Colin going for the no-shield.
Oh, Cresselia is so good here. Does not get caught here on this one. And to be honest, Cresselia is a fantastic save swap for TomahawkUK, because he needs that Mantine later on for the Altaria.
Yeah, he definitely needs that Mantine later on, but we have to see that the Cresselia is already a little bit chipped down from Colin. In comes his second Moonblast. Will this Moonblast get a debuff for Colin? Because if it debuffs, then this matchup will be hugely in favor of Colin. And I just called it.
Wow, this is huge. Tomahawk really needs to get an attack drop back here to even the field. Colin6ix coming in with the clutch attack debuff. Now everything seems to be against TomahawkUK. Will Colin throw the next Moonblast before? Oh, he's actually going for a Grass Knot here. 2 Grass Knot might knock out at this range.
Colin recognizing that he needs 2 moves to knock out Tomahawk's Cresselia, so going for that Grass Knot, which is a little bit more energy efficient and a little bit more cheaper than the Moonblast. In comes his Grass Knot, but then again, Tomahawk's Cresselia also needs 2 moves to knock out Colin's Cresselia. This is going to come down to who can get to the second move faster.
Yep, and it is for me looking like Colin is going to be there immediately, knows the switch timer isn't up for Tomahawk. Is he going to shield this? Alignment might be crucial in this one. You never want your Shadow Whiscash on the Altaria. Tomahawk actually investing a shield. Is this going to come down to a Psycho Cut farm down after all?
I am not sure if that is even possible because it's a Cresselia. In comes his Grass Knot. Grass Knot will be enough to knock out the Cresselia, but it is going to be crucial which Pokemon comes in here when Tomahawk sees the next Pokemon, and it's a Mantine. Moonblast coming in. This Cresselia was loaded with so much energy. This is the second Pokemon, that third Pokemon that it's doing damage to.
Yeah, but it is going to be debuff damage, so not too much. And this might be a full farm down. This Mantine might actually go 1v2 with a shield advantage against the Quagsire. And the Altaria is going to throw the first Aerial Ace before the Aqua Tail is reached. But of course, you want to prevent a Stone Edge from hitting you first.
Yep, Aerial Ace comes in here. This is of course neutral, but with the recent buff for Aerial Ace, it's doing quite a bit of damage. Mantine has so much energy to spare here. In comes this Aqua Tail. This is a bait, and Colin unfortunately pulls up a Protect Shield, but Mantine is still so far ahead in energy.
Yeah, this Mantine just really needs to knock out this Quagsire. TomahawkUK only has one shield available. The only thing he needs to do to win this game is connect an Ice Beam onto the Altaria. There's going to be the Altaria swap in. Now this is a dangerous range. Can he Dragon Breath down the Mantine before it gets to the second Ice Beam?
First Ice Beam comes in here. Will Tomahawk call this? He does not pull up a Protect Shield, but in the very last second pulls it up, negates all that damage. Dragon Breath slowly and steadily adding up. Will this Mantine get there? Will this Mantine be able to get to that Ice Beam? And it does!
Oh, Mantine goes for the Ice Beam. Does it knock out the Altaria? This is double super effective damage. It is going to connect right now. The damage, boom!
Altaria is out of the playing field here. Quagsire comes in, but
no
it's
way!
not enough. Colin flips the bracket 3-2, and we are going to have a bracket reset into the grand final. What a way to come back into the tournament.
This did not look like it's gonna be a bracket reset. Two swift games in the beginning. Tomahawk looks like he would just continue where he stopped in the winners finals, where he won 3-1 against Colin6ix. Now Colin just won 3 games in a row, completely resetting it. Now it's 0-0 again. The odds are so even right now.
Yep, it's completely even. It's now another grand finals on its own. We just talked about how calm and composed Colin is, right? He had that approach in the previous tournaments as well. Tournaments where he's won the grand finals, where he's 2 matches down and coming to go 3-0 afterwards. So we have Colin, who's ready to take it all, and Tomahawk, who wants to do everything in his power to stop Colin from being the first ever European 3-time champion.
I was gonna say Tomahawk has done it before, but this he simply hasn't. He seems to have a weakness for those grand finals. He really wants to win this one, and I believe that he has the skills and everything he needs, all of the tools that he can actually pull this off. Colin has now reversed the bracket, and it is looking very good for him. The momentum is definitely on the side of Colin6ix, but Tomahawk still has quite some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, of course he does have quite a lot of tricks up his sleeve, but then again, as you said, the momentum is with Colin's sides. This is mostly because of the fact that he's played so many matches, right? Yeah. He had a very, very tricky best of 5 against Paulo Shah. Of course, there was a little amount of luck there, but then again, it doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter. He managed to win, and he managed to win good, and now he is in the grand finals, completely throwing Tomahawk off his game by that 0-3 sweep.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but sometimes you do win. And he actually pulled it off 3-0. And this Mantine was incredibly good in this last game. We saw it. It just went 1v2. The Whiscash wasn't even part of this game at all. It just had a little bit of a shield advantage and an incredible amount of energy to pull it off against the Quagsire. Because we said it earlier, you beat Quagsire with Mantine if you have shields available. Doesn't really matter. And then it actually got to the Ice Beam versus the Altaria with the shield up as well. It was magnificent.
It was magnificent, absolutely. I think me saying Mantine did not have a lot of play against this team, it was wrong.
It might have been wrong, yes. But we're going to go into a very, very short break. You know, the trainers need some rest before this big matchup. But we're going to hype you up a little bit more for the reverse bracket of the grand finals with a trailer for Worlds.
Pokemon fans, trainers, and communities worldwide, welcome to the Pokemon World Championship.
Let's all take a deep breath. This was heated. Colin reversed the bracket after being 2-0 down versus TomahawkUK. It looked like everything was against him, but he actually pulled it off. And now we're in for a fresh new best of 5.
Yeah, man, that was great set of battles to watch. It had us on our toes. Actually, it had us on the edge of our seats because we are not standing.
That is indeed true. Actually, I'm touching the seat with my
I am
toe.
not as
That is-
tall as Leo, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is definitely true. However, those trainers are bringing some spicy Pokemon. We haven't seen a whole lot of Mantine this weekend, and actually, many trainers might have made the wrong decision because Colin6ix is sitting there with his Mantine. It is working wonders for him. While Tomahawk has brought the Shadow Bastiodon, which has been the star of the show, he hasn't brought it as much in the grand finals. And maybe that was the downfall of his winning streak.
In a way, I think Bastiodons, let's say, a very long time ago, did win a regional. That was a long time ago. Ever since then, it's always the best finish that it has was second. This is the Bastiodon curse. Can Tomahawk's Bastiodon, which is a shadow by the way, can it overcome this curse? Let's find out. But these two trainers are now, you know, what do you call it, taking a quick breather because it's a lot to take in. That was an amazing set of games and it takes a toll on you.
Yep, that is true. I don't even understand how Colin managed to pull that one off. Trusting in his Pokemon. Went for many 1v2s. In the second game, or the second to last game actually, the Skeledirge pulled off a 1v2. Might have even been a 1v3. And now in the last game, the Mantine went in with a 1v2. That was really, really strong. They actually played these matches to perfection. And now we're going to see the accolades of those trainers again.
Yeah, Colin, we just talked about Colin recently. Such a great PvP player. Stuttgart regional champion, Lille regional champion, Dortmund regional finalist, and Lille regional top 8 in 2024. What an amazing player.
And we can also add another at least finalist spot in there, because Bologna special event finalist is also at least on there. And then we have TomahawkUK, double finalist, top 4 at the Barcelona special event, and the Stuttgart regional. He made it to the top 8.
Yep. Again, another player who's been having a fabulous 2024 season as well. I think a lot of these players started playing a little bit later in the 2023 season, had a decent season, and then 2024 came to their peak performance, and they're just going to get better. Another thing that Tomahawk told us was that he might consider retirement if he wins the regional, if he wins a special event. So
we have to kind of root against him now because we want to see him in those tournaments. He's bringing spicy picks. He has brought a Whalma. He has brought Arctibex as well. Didn't bring them to the live matches. But still, those are incredibly respectable picks here. And Colin, he's just relying on his Shadow Whiscash. Sometimes has met the Altaria, which was then, of course, a very polarizing matchup. But Colin is looking so strong right now. I don't even know how, because this matchup, honestly, it looks terrible for Colin.
yeah, it's all about how you adapted, right? He kind of figured out the way to make sure that he could handle the Bastiodon in every possible game. And as long as he's handling the Bastiodon in every possible game, it forces Tomahawk to play Pokemon that can be neutral against a Pokemon that Colin will bring. So suddenly, his pool of Pokemon is completely reduced.
Yeah, and also, once Colin is in your head, he lives there rent-free. Because he is such a strong trainer. Once he is in an advantageous position, we have seen this time and time again. Once he knows how his opponent plays, he doesn't let them get out of the situation anymore. It took him quite a while. He has lost 5 games against Tomahawk in this tournament, but then he knew.
Yeah, he knows indeed, but we have to see what they do here. This is the bracket reset, the grandest of grand finals. In comes his Pokemon. It's the Bastiodon against the Cresselia.
It is the Bastiodon in the lead, and Colin is very ABA against it. However, Cresselia is the lesser of the two evils if you compare it to the Altaria matchup against the Bastiodon. Let's see how much a Grass Knot does against the Shadow Bastiodon.
It is still a Bastiodon in the end. It will do limited amount of damage, but then again, it's okay. It's a respectable amount, but this Psycho Cuts do almost no damage to the Bastiodon. I don't even see its HP being chipped.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Bastiodon just has enormous amount of HP there. The Stone Edge is going to connect. Does a sizable chunk. The next one will definitely knock out. Let's see how many Grass Knots Colin can get off here.
Yes, Grass Knot coming in. Of course, as the Bastiodon, you do not want to shield any of these. It's all going to be up to this. How will he decide to completely completely farm it down, or will he be forced to throw a move here? Grass Knot, this might put the Bastion in a range where another Grass Knot might knock out.
Yep, that is true. So Tomahawk kind of has to throw, maybe. Also, we can see in the backline, Colin's Shadow Whiscash is never going to be answered by Altaria. So if it gets a full farm down on this Shadow Bastiodon, it might actually run Rampage through Tomahawk's team.
It's going to be crucial on if he decides to stay in this matchup or immediately swap out. Let's see what happens here. Whiscash comes in, an immediate swap into that Shadow Quagsire. Quagsire does have access to the Aqua Tail, which is going to come in quick and fast against his Whiscash. Whiscash, will it shield? No shield by Colin.
That is kind of interesting. I want to see how Colin proceeds in this matchup, because I was thinking that you would immediately pivot out into the Altaria to have an aligned timer there to dominate this Quagsire matchup with shields and then try to swap out into the Shadow Whiscash as soon as the Bastiodon comes back in.
Skull comes in and it gets that attack fall, the 50% chance working in the favor of Colin and going for the Skull again, but Tomahawk knows his counts, going with the charge attack priority, no shielding the Whiscash, putting everything on that Altaria. This is a great heads-up play from Colin. It will all come down to, can this Altaria Dragon Breath down that Bastiodon? This Skull will put the Quagsire into the red, an immediate swap into the Altaria is what I'd expect.
Wow, I'm really, really surprised. It actually gets to the Stone Edge, but gets knocked out before Altaria gets the knockout here. The Bastiodon is going to come in. This is so much damage with those smackdowns. Can Colin Dragon Breath down? Actually, we are seeing a lot of damage being done here. This first Stone Edge is being thrown. Will it be shielded? I guess.
Of course, you guess shield comes up and Stone Edge's damage is completely negated. Bastiodon is still there, still doing a ton of damage onto this Altaria. Will the Altaria able to Dragon Breath down?
No way.
So close, and it gets a complete Dragon Breath down. We have the Annihilate with one shield, but how can it hide? Where can it hide? This will be a Moonblast. This is gonna knock out if it lands, and it lands!
Oh, it barely doesn't knock out. However, it deals enough damage, so it's in Dragon Breath range. Colin6ix, Dragon Breath is down a Shadow Bastiodon. How can you stop him?
What a amazing play there by Colin, staying in that matchup with that Cresselia, making sure that Bastiodon is in a range where the Altaria can deal with it, throwing that Whiscash into that matchup, making that Shadow Quagsire go all the way down to the red. Luckily, the Dragon Breath was enough before that Stone Edge connected.
Have we possibly found a disadvantage of running the Shadow Bastiodon? Because the loss that you take from playing against the Cresselia, or the win that you do, is a very soft one. And you're actually in a range where with one shield, an Altaria can farm you down. The Altaria, don't get me wrong, was also incredibly low just from those smackdowns. But if you were a normal one, you would have dealt so much more damage with multiple more smackdowns.
That was I think both of us were literally on the screen watching every HP of that Bastiodon go slowly and steadily down to those Dragon Breaths, and it was great to watch. As you said, it is interesting to see the matchup of Bastiodon versus Cresselia, because there's two big disadvantages here. The Cresselia's damage is adding up with the Grass Knot, and what's worse is you have to throw a move. You need to be almost energy dry against that Cresselia, or you get another Grass Knot, and that would put you in even worse position.
And almost energy dry for Bastiodon means that you are never ever going to use a charge attack again. It was incredible how Colin just played this, knowing I will Dragon Breath down this Bastiodon, and then I'm gonna have two charge attacks, even throws the Moonblast, doesn't go for the safe double Sky attack, because then I think the Annihilate would have had the chance to actually counter down the Altaria. This was incredible. He needed that Moonblast to connect.
It was perfectly executed by Colin. But what's another important thing here is now Colin has 4 wins again in a row against Tomahawk.
Yeah.
4 wins, nothing to stop him in between. All he needs is 2 more, and he will be the special event champion.
Yeah, that would be his 3rd title, and actually the 2nd one in one season. We've never had that before in Europe. And this is Shadow Magnezone into Shadow Bastiodon. Tomahawk not wanting to switch up his strategy in the lead there. Goes out immediately into Altaria. And now Colin6ix is going to throw a wild charge and dip.
I think that's the play here, but he's staying in a little bit longer because he has that Whiscash to answer that Bastiodon in the back. So this is a great heads-up play by Colin. Will he shield the Sky attack though? No shield being called, and the Magnezone is still in the yellow. 1 more Volt Switch, and he has back-to-back Wild Charges. Wild Charge number 1 goes into the Altaria. Will this be enough to knock out? I do not think so, but Tomahawk pulls up a Protect Shield. He wants to get this Magnezone out of the way.
Oh, this is shielded again, going down 2 shields immediately. What can Colin do now? He can go, he can pivot out into the Cresselia, can be farmed down. That is actually crucial because now he doesn't have a switch timer. Lets the Shadow Magnezone go. You have taken 2 shields from my opponent. I'm fully fine with that. And now we're going to see a move thrown just before the Moonblast reaches.
Yeah, Moonblast comes in here, but Tomahawk also has a chance to catch this move onto that Bastiodon. In comes the switch, and he goes to the Cresselia!
Oh, and this Cresselia is going to be very, very interesting here. Are we going to see a debuff first?
Moonblast goes in, lands. Is that an attack fall? No attack fall here. Going into the Wish Cache. This is very surprising for me.
Yeah, I can see why, because you know there is a Bastiodon in the back. That means that you can safely use your shields here on that Cresselia. You're going to deal a little bit more damage, actually a lot more damage with those shadow boosted skulls here. This is going to be very, very strong for Colin. He wants to use those shields, he gets to.
Yep, Scald coming in. This is, as you said, going to do a significant amount of damage, but it's all going to come down to, can this Cresselia get to 2 Grass Nuts? Based on the damage that Scald did, I do not think it can. Let's see what Wish Cache does. Goes for that Protect Shield, and I would assume Colin would farm it all the way to the maximum, get as many fast moves as possible before he throws that Scald, and that is exactly what he's doing. One more, and goes for that charge attack priority.
Oh.
Goes for this Mud Bomb. Is this enough? Yes, it's a Shadow Wish Cache, but then again, it is a Cresselia. It has significant amount of HP. Will this knock out? Yes, it does!
Huge knockout for Colin6ix, who is immediately throwing the Scald debuff. Scald, he knows, hey, I need a debuff here. I don't want to take too much damage or else it's going to maybe get close against the Shadow Bastiodon here. Tomahawk has no way of catching anything. You can throw a Scald right here. You can throw a Scald. He does throw the Scald. The Altaria is going to be knocked out after this, and then it's going to be a Mud Boy party against the Shadow Bastiodon.
Shadow Bastiodon is a great Pokemon, but that Pokemon cannot deal with this Wish Cache. Altaria being knocked out of the sky means this Wish Cache is ready to play. Mud Bomb comes in, Mud Bomb number 1. This is gonna do about 50 to 60% to that Bastiodon, and this Wish Cache is gonna outpace to the next Mud Bomb before the Bastiodon can do anything to it.
That is so big. The Mud Bomb is reached. It is going to connect, fully charging up the bubbles. This is reverse match point for Colin6ix.
All Colin needs now is exactly what Tomahawk needed in the first set of Grand Finals. 1 more point for him to go. 5 in a row for Colin. 1 more game away. 1 more game away from being the first-time, 3-time regional champion.
You said it before, Avi. The more games you play with the Shadow Bastiodon, the easier it becomes for your opponent to predict where it is. Actually knowing, hey, Tomahawk has never let the Shadow Bastiodon against me, so I'm going to lead strong against it. Has the Shadow Whiskash on it, then has the Shadow Magnezone on it. Completely outplays it, knowing, hey, I have Shadow Whiskash in the back. I can just throw 2 Wild Charges against the Altaria. Don't even need to shield a Sky Attack. Drain 2 shields from it, and then, oh, even beating the Cresselia with Shadow Whiskash. Colin6ix just knows what his Pokemon can do in every single shield scenario against every single other Pokemon.
Yeah, but that was a heads-up play there, right? Once you see that Altaria in the sky, Wish Cache is the happiest Pokemon.
Woo!
Wish Cache is the happiest Pokemon. Yeah. Once you see that Altaria in the sky, once it's gone, it's done. The game is over. Because all the Pokemon on Tomahawk's side is going to take neutral or super effective damage from that Wish Cache, and that's exactly what the Wish Cache did. Another thing that I would like to note is Colin's moved from trying to, let's say, predicting the Bastiodon in the back to playing neutral against the Bastiodon. Yeah. One of the things that we saw as well is that Cresselia in the lead, which did a great job. It did not get rid of the Bastiodon, but what it did was neutralizing the Bastiodon. And that completely changed the outcome of the game.
The Altaria farm down on the Shadow Bastiodon is maybe the most surprising thing I have seen all weekend. It's not the sudden pop-up of all the Bastiodon in the top cut. No, it is the Altaria Dragon Breath down. Not even on accident. This was planned from the very beginning.
I think the Altaria at that point said to the Cresselia, don't worry, Cresselia, all those tiny amount of damage that you did with your Psycho Cut, it helped me get to this point. Every Pokemon counts in a best of 3.
Because the Altaria, it's just barely hung on onto like 10% HP, so every Psycho Cut did matter, because for every Psycho Cut that doesn't go through, you're going to get a Smackdown almost. And now we're going to see Altaria on Tomahawk's side against the Shadow Whiskash, but there's no Bastiodon in the back.
This is not the matchup you want to see. Immediately going on to the Cresselia safe swap and is immediately met with this Charger Bug. This is a positive matchup for the Charger Bug, but it will come down to, again, the attack fall here. Moonblast is going through, not shielded by Tomahawk. Will we get that attack fall? It's a 10% 100% chance, and no!
Nope, TomahawkUK is charging up to 2x Scissor and is going to throw those. Probably going to farm up a little bit more after this to exit this matchup with low amount of HP and high amounts of energy.
Yes, and going a little bit more, I think, there. But this X-Scissor would be enough to knock out the Cresselia, unless the Cresselia has a lot of defense. Let's see what happens here. Does it survive with the HP? No, unfortunately not, but in comes the Whiscash. Whiscash, however, does resist a lot of these moves that the Chargebug stores, but the X-Scissor is neutral, and this means that slowly and steadily, this Chargebug is going to chip down on this Whiscash as well.
Preserving HP on the Chargebug was well played by Tomahawk, because this is now also going to diminish the HP of the Shadow Whiscash. You're absolutely right about that. Probably going to be a no-shield because, yes, you have the Altaria in the back and Shadow Quagsire can clean up whatever is coming after that. I doubt that with this situation where you have an energy disadvantage even, you're going to be able to 1v2 with with the Mantine.
Yeah, it's going to come down to can Colin call those Stone Edges. Here comes the Air Lace. This is slowly and steadily going to add up against the Whiscash, but he will also have to deal with that 2-shielded Altaria at the back. In comes the Quagsire. Quagsire slowly and steadily charging up to a lot of energy and immediately going for that Stone Edge. Every shield that's being pulled in this matchup means an extra shield for that Altaria, and Altaria is going to rule the sky with the shields.
Yep, and Colin is going to farm up one more wing attack, knows that the Quagsire is not quite at a Stone Edge here. Colin is playing this matchup with shields. He has called the first Stone Edge. Can he call the next charge attack from TomahawkUK? He's going to throw another Stone Edge. If he shields this, this is absolutely huge. That is a win condition for Colin to maybe reach an Ice Beam, and he doesn't call it! He gets connected to the Stone Edge!
What an impressive amount of damage that Stone Edge did, and this Quagsire gets to this Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will knock out the the Mantine if unshielded, but there comes the Protect Shield. But Altaria still has that shield to hide behind. The energy on this Mantine will have to go somewhere, and another Aqua Tail comes in. Unfortunate for Colin. He wanted to try to completely farm down the Quagsire, potentially bait an Ice Beam and land on the Altaria, but that did not work out. Whiscash now looking helplessly at the sky as his Altaria Dragon Breath sits down.
Yeah, thank goodness. I thought we were going to just end the stream right here, but no. We actually get more matches in this grand finals, in the winners finals reset here. Tomahawk takes it back, claws his way back into this game. He lost 5 games in a row, but now he's finally got one back. This is his chance to win 2 in a row.
Will this be a reverse sweep?
Oh, I don't even know. This might very well be a reverse sweep where Colin6ix wins the best game, wins the last game out of the best of 5.
Yeah, Tomahawk putting a stop to Colin's win streak there. 5 games in a row is a lot to ask. It's huge amount of wins that you can have against a player of Tomahawk's caliber, and Tomahawk shows why he's a player of that caliber by saying, no, that's as far as you go. I got this back, and one more game is what Tomahawk needs to go to that big deciding game. But for Colin, one game is enough. One game is enough to make him the champion.
Is there anything we've barely ever seen? I think every single Pokemon has had some use in these matchups, right? There was the Annihilate appearance in one of the first games where the Skeledirge actually completely pulled off a miracle.
But there is one Pokemon that we have seen in every single game.
Altaria.
Is that what Altaria says?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was a crow when you said it.
I had a phone call with Altaria yesterday. That was exactly
yeah,
what
fair enough. I must have missed that call. Altaria is a Pokemon that's being constantly used, and the reason why Tomahawk is forced to bring that Altaria is because Colin is forced to bring that Whiscash every game, because without that Whiscash, he cannot do well against that Bastiodon. Let's see if Colin kind of adapts. Maybe this is a point where he can take a risk there. I'm going to bench my Whiscash, and I'm going to bring 3 weak to Bastiodon. But then again,
if there is Bastiodon,
it's over.
Yeah.
But this is the point. This is the point where he can do that, because if he does that, and if there is a Bastiodon, he has one more game to make that play.
Is, for example, a Skeledirge with 100 energy, how well does it do against the Shadow Bastiodon? The Shadow Ball do damage.
Yes, it does do damage, but I still wouldn't count. I mean, it's something that I would like to you know, do a little bit more sim, get some practices in as well. Maybe after the tournament, we should sit down and see what it what it does.
Absolutely. You just built your Shadow Bastiodon really quickly, and I will use my Skeledirge.
You're right. I need to find myself a Shadow Bastiodon.
Okay, so we are in the 4th game of the winners finals reset here in the special event in Bologna. It has been a very long weekend. In the top 4, we have Europe's finest, the best trainers you could ever imagine. TomahawkUK, Colin6ix in the grand finals, and then on 3rd place, Paul Asher, and of course in 4th place, ME Weedle, the current EYC champion. And now the game starts. This is Altaria on the Shadow Magnezone.
This is Altaria on the Shadow Magnezone, and this is exactly where you want to see this Altaria for Colin6ix. Let's see how he decides to play it out. Will he go immediately to the wild charge? No, he's going to charge up to 2 and potentially throw back-to-back. Tries to catch a move on this charger bug. Immediately met with this Wish Cash. This is a great position to be in if you are Colin.
Oh, I am not too sure about that, to be honest. He no shields. The X's are here. I think that he predicts that there is no Bastiodon in the back for this game, because now that the Shadow Whiscash is going to take a lot of damage, the Altaria after this matchup can come in again. You just straight up no shield this and bring in Altaria after that.
You're exactly right, Leo. I think this is a great position to be in. If you are Tomahawk, I was wrong, and this is looking very good here, because this Xer is not going to be enough to knock out the Wishcash, but if Tomahawk invests shields, he can flip this matchup.
BM Smackdown with the BM Smackdown with the Bastiodon. Can we see a BM Smackdown with the Bastiodon here, or are we going to see the Altaria just going for a quick Dragon Breath down?
You see what Colin did here. He made sure his charger bug was very low, so the Altaria does not get a lot of farm. The Magnezone still has 2 wild charges loaded, right? Will he make the play? Will he go into his Cresselia now to give that Magnezone a lot of play here? Goes into the Magnezone, and in comes his wild charge.
I think he is predicting the Quagsire in the back. The wild charge goes unshielded. Tomahawk might be predicting a bait. This knocks out the Altaria! And there is the Shadow Bastiodon against the Magnezone. But Magnezone is at so low HP, it's going to get severely debuffed after this. Is this going to be extra damage from the Smackdown?
Yes, in comes a wild charge being shielded. It will get to another move. Yes, it has a mirror shot loaded. We saw how close the Cresselia Bastiodon matchup was. Cresselia needs to do everything in its power to put this Bastiodon into that range for 1 mirror shot to knock it out. Mirror shot is still super effective against the Bastiodon. First Grass Knot comes in and slowly and steadily chipping away at this big wall of a Pokemon. Bastiodon saying, come at me.
Stone Edge is being thrown. This might be good for Colin if he can get to another charge attack that in the end knocks out the Bastiodon, because this is effectively a 2 versus 0 shield scenario for the Cresselia. You want to keep your shield for the Shadow Magnezone there.
Yep, you definitely want to keep a shield, but then again, we saw how close the game was, right? Yeah. So it will come down to the very last minute here. Let's see what Bastiodon does. Bastiodon, will it go for that Stone Edge? No, it's charging up to even more energy. Grass Knot comes in. 1 more Grass Knot, I think, will be enough to knock out this Bastiodon. Yeah. What will Tomahawk do? Because if the Cresselia shields this, it will outpace the Bastiodon to another move.
The Stone Edge is going to connect. This would not even knock out the Cresselia. However, Colin is very close to another move. Tomahawk would have to definitely shield this one here. The Grass Knot is going to be thrown. This forces a shield. Is it going to be overcoming the Shadow Bastiodon without the Whiscash? Can we actually see a Magnezone win here? Does he switch in the Magnezone immediately? No, he actually goes to farm down a little bit more. He gets connected with the Stone Edge after this.
Stone Edge goes in here. This will knock out the Cresselia. Does that Magnezone have that mirror shot? The mirror shot would be enough to knock out the Bastiodon.
Oh, the Cresselia lives!
And a dream, but the Cresselia does not get to the Grass Knot. Magnezone will come in, and that mirror shot lands!
Colin6ix! The mirror shot is going to connect on the Shadow Bastiodon, and he takes this game! Colin6ix has done it before, he has done it again! He is a 3-times champion!
3-time champion and the special event champion for Bologna. What a way to end the season. He's been running after the 3rd medal for so long, and he finally gets it.